Hello, everybody, and welcome to ABM Answered, the quickfire demand generation ABM video series, or at least that's what we aim for. I'm here with Sudhir, who is totally capable of introducing himself in a second. But again, to give a short overview of the concept of this video series, Sudhir here, in this case, will be given 7 questions to respond to, all about account-based marketing and demand generation. These questions have come from or been adapted based on the data that we've collected at Mixed Reality Rooms, where over 1,000 marketers have gone through and stated what their biggest headaches, struggles, and challenges are at the moment with Demand Gen and ABM. So, yeah, Sudhir, I'll hand it over to you to give an intro.
Thanks, Sam. So I'm Sudhir, Head of Technology Solutions at Revere. We're a B2B marketing agency specialising with working with technology companies. And in terms of my experience, my background, my passion is marketing. Been in marketing for 16 plus years. And ABM and really human marketing has always been sort of my forte. Spent a lot of time around sort of the HubSpot days and then wanted to develop that further. Embarked on a number of ABM campaigns in the UK and in the US. And then I'm always looking to be active on LinkedIn to share my thoughts and my insight. And I also published my book during lockdown, which was really, again, me sharing my thoughts and methodology when it comes to ABM, LinkedIn, social selling, and in a nutshell, trying to be human as we market to our audience.
Fantastic. Yeah, I learned about the book last week, didn't I? What's the book called, Sudhir?
It's called Being Human, Marketing and Social Selling in a Digital World. And yeah, you can get it through Amazon, or if you contact me, I'm happy to send you a copy. But the purpose behind the book was to give something back. So once Jeff Bezos takes his cut, then whatever is left goes to the National Autistic Society. So it was a win-win.
Awesome. Right, let's dive straight in. So problem 1 that came in was too many platforms. So obviously a very common problem. For you, the question, I suppose, is how do you ensure that the ABM tools and platforms you're using fully integrate with all the other platforms that you're using to maximize efficiency and effectiveness when it comes to executing campaigns?
So this is, I think, a common problem with regards to tech stacks in general, not just ABM tech stacks. I think in first instance, you should always evaluate your current tech stack to see what you have. A lot of time, you may inherit tools, maybe legacy tools. You may not truly understand the whole 360 degrees of a tool in terms of its products, its service offerings as well. But take your time, evaluate your tech stack, see what does work, what doesn't work, and understand the true value of what you have today as your foundation, as your base model. Once you've done that, then I would look to see what are you trying to do. What are your integration goals in terms of where do you want to get to? What is missing from your current tech stack? Is it data? Is it insight? Is it specific tools when it comes to automation or intent data or emails? That should help you understand it and create sort of a clear picture, a map, so to speak, and then look at how you want the tools and the systems to integrate with each other. So is it through data flow? Is it through automated workflows? Are you looking to get a 360 degree view of the customer, which will then lead to multiple data points? That will help paint a picture of, okay, this is where we're at today. This is our foundation. This is what we want. Then you can look at to see what is on offer and which of those tools are compatible with your existing data set. But look at your foundation first, and hopefully you will have your hub, which is a CRM. But again, a lot of businesses don't have CRM. Some still will be working from spreadsheets. You never know. You never know. Nothing shocks me in today's world, mate. Nothing shocks me at all. But you will hope that there is a hub, there is a CRM, and then build upon that then to see which tools are compatible. Look at your API integrations, and then you can start to look at mapping and transformation, and then how to phase this in an effective manner. But the biggest thing is just to evaluate your current tech stack first.
Nice. And just a short follow-on question from that. Are you seeing kind of in this current climate, clients maybe cutting back on their different technologies, bringing it back to basics, to the spreadsheets, maybe not that medieval, but companies generally still quite bullish to try new things and experiment?
I think every business will always want to see what is new out there and understand the value and the ROI. But I think the biggest barrier at the moment is going to be, ROI. if I invest in these tools. And as you know, a lot of these tools aren't cheap. They do require a lot of configuration, subscriptions, and setups, and then could often have licenses on top of that, as well as the internal training and adoption that you need to go through as well. So it's not as easy as just install something and then you're off. But I think businesses are more open to tools and adoptions. But the biggest thing is going to be, right, what ROI is going to deliver me today based upon what we currently have, and then making an assessment from there.
Okay. I mean, it makes total sense given everything that's going on at the moment. Problem two that came in was data validity and reliability. So actually, the person that mentioned this, I think, was talking about kind of that initial stack of data, and I think they might have even been talking about intent data. But do you experience this, and what are the common pitfalls when it comes to data validity and reliability? Do you have a process to manage it?
So I think we all know, and we've heard the tool that data is king and data is a new oil, and I think we are surrounded by so much data. There's so many data points. If we look at our tech stacks, if you look at our customer nurture journeys, there's lots of different data points, and it's really about understanding what you're capturing, how you're capturing that data, and then how to extract that insight. But for me, if we just strip it right back and just focus on, let's just say, your CRM data, your account records, your customer records, you do need to have regular verification checks just to make sure your data remains clean. It's good practice to have a data cleanse and a data enrichment process that you carry out, whether it's every quarter or at least a few times a year, just to make sure that your current database and set is clean. So when you are talking to your audience and your existing customer base, your details are correct. You know exactly who you're talking to, and then you can start to then look at the other layer, which is then going on to your point about intent data, which is going to help you massively when it comes to segmentation and profiling. So in terms of data tools and intent tools, there's a lot of good providers out there. You got your Science, you got Bombora, Sixth Sense, Zoom Info, all of these guys that have their own data sets. They will all claim to have the best data in the world because we're all marketeers. Yeah. But then it's really about understanding, okay, again, what insight does this data, what additional layers of intent does this tell me? Does it give me what I want? So some will give you content and topic surges within existing accounts. Others will have additional information in terms of financial information about the organization. Will give you updates on whether there's been any mergers or whether there's been any investment. Another layer also could be around the data enrichment. So you may have a key account and you may have 2 or 3 key decision makers within that account. You're probably missing another 7 or 8. I think the number of decision makers involved now in the buying process keeps going up on a daily basis. But you could be missing insight into that account and acquire those accounts. Obviously, GDPR compliant as well. So for me, it would be running those verification checks to make sure your current basis is clean, and then looking to use a data provider to give you that extra layer of insight, so then you can then segment and profile your audience in an efficient manner.
Awesome. And I'm conscious of time, but I do have a follow-on question very briefly. How do you cleanse that data? So I spoke to, I think it was George Ford, and he works at Inbox Insights, and he was very keen on human checking, human validation. Like, is that, it's not the only way, but is that the best way still? Or have you got any super smart technology that helps cleanse and keep that CRM up
You
to
can. So if you can do it manually, but I
Yeah.
mean, how many records are we talking? Because all the databases and businesses I talk to, it's not exactly tens and twenties. It's it's thousands and thousands that we're talking about. You could be quite clever, and let's say we all know that a lot of the databases are going to be segmented by your SDR team, and maybe they'll pick their top 5 or 10 clients, and because they should have a strong relationship, they will know them like the back of their hand, so they could do that process for you, or almost do a sense check. But in terms of at a bigger scale, you could use tools like OpenRefine, which will then look at the data and remove sort of any cleansing or duplicate records that you have. And there's also tail end data preparation as well, and they deal with sort of the data profiling as well as looking to enrich and cleanse. So there are a lot of tools out there, but again, it's understanding the volume of data you have, the current quality, and then the process that you want to go on. But at a larger scale, I would definitely recommend using the tools that services that are available to you.
Nice. They're the golden nuggets that I want because I didn't know about those either. But yeah, okay. So one-to-one, it's fine. If you've got a handful of account reps, then sure. But at large scale, let's offset the technology. Problem 3, and I will do my best not to ask any more follow-on questions. I just get excited.
Okay, go for it.
Personalization at scale is one of my favorite challenges. Take it away. Like, what tools do you use to personalize your campaigns, and how deep do you go with the personalization?
So with personalization at scale, it's going to come down to, are you truly doing, let's be honest, are you truly doing one-to-one ABM, or are you doing one-to-few? A lot of the time, um, everybody will want more bang for their buck. So one-to-one or one-to-few, no, they'll want to do a one-to-a-many or one-to-1,000. Let's try and do this at scale. Now that will have massive restrictions on how personalized your campaigns are.
Mhm.
So if we just take into consideration the one-to-many, you can do you can segment your data, and you could be clever in terms of what I mentioned, getting that additional intent layer. You could look at intent surges and topics and segment that audience via the intent signals. So whoever is showing the highest intent for topic X, then we want to create a campaign for these individuals. And then an additional layer would be, what are the job roles and functions, so we can craft and tailor the content. So that's a kind of a top level at that scale. But on a one-to-one, which I love, or one-to-few, that that's really human-to-human marketing. That's when you can be clever with sort of AI tools. So there's two tools that I've started to look into and use. So one is HeyGen, and another one is Synthesia. So what they do is you can create AI avatars of yourself, of your SDR team, your sales team, and create personalized videos. So at scale, just type away, and you can get those messages out. And for me, when I'm doing my marketing campaigns, tactics are great, emails, but getting a personalized video, a human to human interaction, you cannot beat that. And for me, if I can use tools like this and do it at scale and to make it as human as possible, I think they are really, really good tools and to have in your toolkit. And hopefully there'll be more of those coming forward in terms of where AI is going.
Awesome. We're going to get to that. Problem 4, keeping up with new MarTech and trends. So this is obviously heavily involved in your role. How do you approach this, and how do you decide whether something's worth implementing? And do you have a kind of set process of how you implement these things efficiently? Like, do you run a proof of concept? Is that what you kind of push for? Or again, back to the first question, integration with existing tech stack. So yeah, how do you? I'll let you answer.
No, I think keeping up with trends is there's a lot of noise and content out there. I think now for us as marketers, it's really important to choose who you have in your news feeds and what channels and type of content you consume. For me, I'm always looking to focus more on those influencers or specific brands that I know deliver what I want, which is trying to get that personalization at scale. There's a great number of tools out there that can help in terms of efficiency and saving you time. But once I have that time, what do I want to do? Where do I want to focus my efforts? So I would always look to see which influencers are the best, or which companies are the best in terms of what I'm consuming. And then for me, it really is deciding whatever sort of tool or tech stack it is that I'm considering at the moment, what value does it bring to the table? Look at it, really look at it, and I'm like, okay, if, for instance, if we just take AI, the amount of noise and around ChatGPT and the tools that are out there, let's say Midjourney. Now, Midjourney is great. There's a lot of creative, really, really cool, fun, creative AI tools. But for me, as a strategic marketeer, I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole. That's great, but for me, how is it going to help me strategically? How is it going to help me from a digital activation point of view? How's it going to help me in terms of ROI? So that's when I would focus on the tools that are more beneficial for me in terms of what I want to do, and then look at what do they bring to the table. If they save me time, how much time roughly is it going to save me versus the cost of implementing this tool? So really, again, going back, evaluate where you're at today, evaluate what it is that you're going to do, what does this bring to the table, and then look at the use cases, look at the scenarios, and also see in terms of integration, Is it simple? Is it easy? Is it going to take much adoption? Am I going to have to go on a number of courses? Do I need to get some champions in the business to really drive this forward? Looking at the costs and things as well. So you need to look at the whole 360-degree view of tools that are out there, and assess it in an efficient manner, and then make a decision from there. But you can get lost in the headlights of this is a shiny new tool, and then,
Mhm.
but really, is it actually bringing anything, and is it going to bring me any benefit, any value? Is it really going to change anything, or is it just another tool I'm adding to my tech stack, which is great for now, but then it's going to be forgotten, but I'm still paying the subscription for it?
Mhm. And that's when it all adds up. The so you keep your finger on the pulse, I guess, have a very wide, like, oh, this is what's going on, very broad. But like when you have a prop, you always bring it back to the objectives. And as soon as you're like, right, this is the objectives, get more leads
Yeah.
within this region. That's when you go deep and start researching into technologies and doing a bit more
Yeah, so
research.
say like one of the biggest things that we're always going to get as marketeers is ROI, MQLs and SQLs and leads. There's always going to be those conversations. So if you did a Google search now on tools for lead generation, we'll be here all day. We'll be
Yeah,
here all day.
yeah.
So then it's going to be right. Which of these tools do I think are credible? Will I look at G2 for reviews?
Mhm.
Could I ask my peers within my network of, have they used any of these tools? That's just very, very basic due diligence, as you know. But then straight away you're starting to filter down, and then it's actually looking at the use cases, and then the integration, and then actually right, what else does it bring to the table? Is it, by implementing this tool, is it going to affect my other tools? Does it integrate with my CRM, or does it stand alone? So yeah, just really focusing on your goals and objectives and where you want to focus your efforts, and then seeing within that space um, what's trending, what's making a lot of noise, and what is gaining the most traction in terms of reputation and results.
And speaking of what's trending, and it still is, problem 5 that came in was the implementation of AI. So you kind of touched upon it there. There's so many kind of AI tools out there now. Everyone, or every kind of company, I think, knows they want to incorporate it, but they're not fully sure how. So I guess a good question would be, how can you, in maybe the easiest way or just in the most efficient way, use AI in your tech stack to your advantage as a marketer?
So I would say that we've all been exposed to AI or use AI in our daily lives, whether we're aware of it or not.
Mhm.
Whether it's our phones, our apps, or shopping, there is AI involved. It's always been there, but now, with this huge noise around ChatGPT and language learning models, it's more proficient. So again, it will come back to, okay, AI, what benefit does it bring to the table? And as we know, it can save you a lot of time with those mundane, those admin sort of tasks. So if you just look at, let's say, Microsoft Dynamics, um, Copilot as part of that stack is brilliant. So if you have a range of your workforce that use Excel, not everybody is an Excel wizard when it comes to formulas and things. Copilot can help you very, very simply and easily by having a human conversation overcome these problems. The amount of time we as marketers spend on creating decks, I mean, Copilot can give you a nice, and I'm champion Copilot a little bit here, but chatbots, but Copilot can give you a nice basis for then you can spend that additional time to really personalize it, to top and tailor these decks. So for me, I think the tools are there. Implementing in your tech stack again would be the same process, but where I think the issue will lie is the adoption. So if you think about everybody within your business, they need to be comfortable using AI. So in the first instance, language learning models, it's just a bot. Just be comfortable, confident talking to it. There's a lot being said around, prompts, and we need to be prompt engineers, and I feel that's going to put people off, scare people a little bit in terms of, well, oh, how do I talk to it, or how do I get it to do what I want? Just have a conversation. It's a machine. It's fine. Just literally to say to it, if you're in Microsoft Word, I want column F to subtract against column G,
Yeah.
and I want it to be in column H. Do it, try it, play with it, have fun with it. So I think the implementation of AI, I think I would look at the quick wins that a business can do, because we are exposed to a lot, and just look at those quick wins in terms of admin, in terms of the amount of time we spend, and those little scenarios that I've given you there. I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with those. Word, Excel, Outlook. I want a different subject line. Great. I'm struggling with a copy of an email. Try and use those AI tools. And I think once you've gotten past the adoption and people are comfortable using these simple language learning models, then you can look at the bigger picture of things, which is where I guess this question was coming from. Is you can have, as mentioned, various different data points, and you can hold that data in a warehouse. Why not use an AI tool then to interpret that data and give you what it needs? So tell me from my data who bought X, Y, and Z product in the last month. Tell me who my highest value customers are. Literally just by conversing with it. So that's my answer, and I think I've given you two.
Yeah, this is great, and also the Excel. I hadn't even thought about that at all. That's one of the things I've never got my head around, because people often like gloat about how good they are with Excel, and honestly, it's fantastic. Like, yeah, I wish I was that good,
It,
but you can use
yeah.
it
So
for
if
different
you think
prompts.
about but if you think about the insight that all of us have, we're all going to be, we've all got our own skill set. We're all going to excel in certain areas, and that's fine because we're human beings. But if you were to think about sort of your forte, your specialism, your skill set. So, say for myself, literally, me and you can now have a conversation purely about ABM, me and you,
Mhm.
and you could ask me everything from how do I start, what do I do, what's the research step, what's the first step, how long does it take, what's the budget, okay, me literally walking you through an ABM campaign of how I would do it with a client end to end. We would record that conversation, create a transcript, put that into a bot. That information is then in that bot.
Yeah,
Anyone can then have a conversation to be like, right, I'm thinking about starting an ABM campaign. Where do I start? There you go. Boom, 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 boom. How long would it take? Rough cost this much. Would it work for this organization? No, you need to focus on this.
yeah.
It's in there rather than coming to me and asking me all the time. Speak to the bot.
And we've all had those moments where we're like, oh, I wish I could just like clone myself or clone like our key players just so that we could just get the job done quicker. So two more questions. This next one came in from Ryan Malloy at Bombora. It's I love the question. It's what was the biggest marketing risk you've taken, and what was the outcome and learning? And I know Ryan wanted to emphasize it doesn't necessarily have to be a big success. I think people always lean to success because they want to look great and amazing, but ultimately, we just want to know what kind of like the biggest risk was and what came out of it.
So I would say was I think the second ABM campaign that I had ever. Well, it was in the process of doing, and as you guys know, ABM takes time. It
Yep.
is truly about nurturing and understanding your customers. It isn't like you just flick a switch and then all these leads come through. So with this specific campaign, it was a big deal. It was a large client. We're in the US, and I would visit frequently. And I think we were sort of 3 to 4 months in, and still very much at the, let's say, the awareness phase. Just getting in front of the audience, and I knew the pressure was on. And there was basically a kind suggestion to me to speed things up. Now, I did my best to push back to say, well, at the moment these are very cold and it's going to take time. If we do anything drastic now, it can ruin the opportunity and send out a bad brand experience. But at the end of the day, it was just falling on deaf ears. So I had to speed things up a little bit, which in due course did affect the performance of the campaign. Not all of it; it wasn't a failure.
Right.
But what did I learn from it? I learned that I should have stuck to my guns and pushed back more. But I was just in a situation where it was like, okay, we had to go through the motions to then prove that this is why ABM is built this way. This is why you take your time. This is why you invest so much time up front understanding your audience, so then you can market to them and nurture them effectively, not to get fed up. Right, let's just bombard these people. That's not how it works. And it taught me a lot in terms of culture, in terms of mindset, in terms of managing people's expectations. And again, you learn from these experiences. So when it came to future campaigns, working with future individuals, then it's just like, okay, do you actually understand what ABM is? It's not just a campaign. It's a methodology, it's the culture. You have to adopt it. You've literally got to believe it. It's not something you do for a little bit and then switch off. So yeah, there was lots of learnings from that.
Was there
And
any
yeah,
particular was there any particular play like like how did you rush in? Was it email campaigns? Was it billboards? Or can you not talk about it?
no, it was basically, when you get to the point where you're nurturing individuals,
Yeah,
the engagement rates are good. You're looking at their behavior, their activity, and all the signs, and your lead scoring is correct, and the intent's great. So you're like, okay, this individual is engaged. We weren't at that stage. It was only at that stage then I would look to have an active outreach or connection request,
I
or
see. Yeah,
sending that personalized piece. But without that, I wouldn't suggest it, because you're still cold and they're still getting used to the brand, and then they need to build rapport and that trust element. And we just weren't at that stage yet. But it was well, you need to be at that stage. So
interesting. Yeah, so you can't rush it. We're on to the last question today. Thank you so much. The last problem that came in was quality of MQLs to SQLs. So take it away, I guess. How do you support sales with following up rather than, I presume, what this problem is, the traditional approach of, hey, this person's downloaded an ebook, go chase them now. Yeah, how do you approach this?
this is common. Comes up a lot. Um, and for me, it's again about understanding what an MQL and SQL means for a client. For everybody is different. Everyone has different lead scoring, different capabilities. But the biggest thing I try to get across is that, okay, you've invested X amount of time to create this campaign to focus on these individuals. Hopefully, it's personalized. Hopefully, it's tailored. Hopefully, there is some sophistication in terms of intent data and intent signals. You've done your research into your clients. You know the channels of the world and the ecosystem that these individuals live on. You kind of understand, their pain points and challenges through your research as well. And you're trying to meet them where they are. So get on the right channels, and you're building that rapport. So if we consider these accounts to be cold, they need to be familiar with and comfortable with your brand. And that's going to mean a lot of exposure, a lot of messages that resonate with them, that are in the right tone of voice, and regular touch points, which are all for them, all value added, all informative. So they then are comfortable when they see your brand, when they see your logo, whether that's coming from a business or it's coming from an individual that you're trying to position. And then you're looking to get that MQL status, whether that's through a number of different engagement factors, as well as data capture, which I know is up for debate, now, especially because we don't like giving away our information. So there's a question mark on that. But once, let's say, you have an individual that meets that MQL threshold, a lot of businesses or campaigns will be, well, here's your MQLs. What do you want to do with them now? Now, 9 times out of 10, people will or may, like we've said, not have the patience to just pick up the phone and either call them or send them a direct sales message. For me, it's going to be about trying to educate and having a conversation with sales and marketing to say, okay, this is the journey these individuals have been on. This is our lead scoring criteria. And let's say from the 100, 50 of these are classed as MQLs based upon all the engagement and the journey they've been on. Now, to get these individuals to an SQL, what does that look like? So then it's another journey. But at this point, you should be personalized, but the tone of voice, the content, the touch points should all and need to be consistent with what they had prior to getting up to this point. Because if it's instantly going to be a sales message, that is going to be a put off. We all know when it comes to the buyer's journey, 70-80% of the research is done by ourselves before we get in touch, or with a business, with a brand, or an SDR. So there's still a lot of that journey still needs to be done. But just at this point, from an MQL, just do it in a personalized manner. Be a little bit more sophisticated. Do it. Use the AR videos at scale. Use direct mail, which is one of my most favorite marketing tactics around. Direct mail, it's tangible. It cuts through the noise. You can personalize it. You capture the individual's attention, and you can be as creative as you want to be. And if you think how much posts we get through nowadays, you really do have a great opportunity with direct mail. But again, track all of the activity up until a certain threshold where you feel this individual is then in SQL. If you then consider all of those touch points, all that behavior, all that engagement, which hopefully, if your tech stack is set up correctly, is all captured within that. That will give the sales individual, the SDR, a really good understanding of where this individual is, what sort of type of content they're consuming is, where their pay points are. That will help them in terms of their then outreach, which they can then do in a more of a sales and consultative manner. So for me, there's work to be done. So yes, we nurture, we get in front of these individuals to MQL, but then that needs to continue on in more of a focused and personalized effort to get them to an SQL status.
Nice. So it kind of stems from the last question on you can't rush ABM. You know,
True.
you got to give it
Can't.
some time.
You
Nice.
can't. You have to give it some time. People, we're all different. People will be at different stages of the buying cycle.
Yeah.
People will you know, be looking to buy straight away, or be really clued up, or know that their existing contract with a supplier is coming to an end, and they may have already made a decision they want to go with a competitor. That those sort of scenarios are always going to happen. But if you're focusing on net new,
Hmm.
the clues in the title, net new, you don't know anything about them. They don't know anything about you.
Yeah.
So to build that relationship and trust, and to ask for that amount of investment, is going to take time. It needs to be done in a fashion that is what your audience wants and expects.
Yeah, well, it makes total sense. So I'm going to get kicked out in 5 minutes, but I do have one last thing to ask you. We always ask our guests if they have a question for our next guest. I'm actually not sure who's on next, but do you have a question you would like me to ask?
So I'm big into learning and reading. So my question would be, can you recommend one good book, and why would you recommend it?
Okay, decent. I love that. And if anyone wants to reach out to you or get in contact with you after this, where can they find you?
So I'm predominantly on LinkedIn. So if you search for Sudhir Kumar, and you search for Revere as well, I'll appear. And then in terms of email, feel free to email me, sudhir.kumar@thisisrevere.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Sudhir, and we'll chat soon.
Will do.